let's do a role play. Let's pretend like we're in session. If you've never had AB before, typically the clinician has their laptop here. And I have my notes here, so it works out. So you're the parent, I'm the BCBA. Let's practice, okay? Let's pretend we're in session. Thank you for taking time to meet with me today. I know over the phone you mentioned you had some concerns and you kind of wanted some recommendations, so I'm excited to kind of chat with you through those today. So I have a note here. Over the phone you mentioned that you would like to work on cooperation, right? I have a note that says your son got diagnosed earlier this year and you're noticing that he doesn't listen to instructions, right? So I think you said he doesn't listen to instructions, like you say, no, stop, don't do that. And it's not really working. Tell me more about that.
So just before you got here, he was coloring on the wall. I said, stop, but he kept doing it. I said, if you don't stop, you're going in timeout. So yeah, I had to take him to his room.
That makes sense. So it works sometimes, but not all the time, right?
That's right. It's really 50-50 depending on his mood.
I see. So first of all, great job, Mom, on giving him that ultimatum, right? That if-then statement. If you don't stop coloring on the wall, then you're going to get a timeout. That's perfect. And I like how you're following through with that. One thing to consider is that when we're using negative phrases like no, stop, don't do that, first, it can be quite confusing. Yes, we're giving an instruction, but there's no replacement behavior. It's not teaching anything new. It's just teaching, no, I don't want you to do that. But our autistic learners and kids in general are quite literal. So if we say no, stop, don't do that, it kind of leaves a hole in their learning, right? Like, what am I supposed to do instead? So what I want you to practice, Mom, is you're going to practice saying positive statements instead of no, right? So instead of no coloring on the wall, you might say, here's some paper, draw on the paper only, right? So giving him what to do, not what not to do. Another example is like, I know you mentioned he rides his scooter in the house sometimes and you don't want him to do that. So instead of saying no riding your scooter in the house, you might say, go take your scooter and ride it outside. So again, that positive statement, what to do, and not saying what not to do. When we say no to our kids on the spectrum, they internalize a lot of shame and they're not able to successfully cope with those feelings. I know you were explaining that he kind of hides his face and kind of shuts down, and that's where that stems from. So your homework is going to be to practice those positive statements. And I know as a parent, and as a parent myself, it's really tricky to make that switch, because I think as parents we're programmed to say no, stop, don't do that, right? And because the negative things what our kids are doing stand out to us, and so it takes time to unlearn the old way and for us parents to learn the new way. Here, these are for you. I'm going to go ahead and hand you these post-it notes, and what I want you to do with the post-it notes is I want you to put it on the fridge and just write no and then with a cross through it. So your homework is going to be to practice avoiding no and stop and start practicing the positive statement. So instead of no running, you might say, hey, walk. Okay? Instead of stop yelling, you might say quiet voice. Instead of don't hit your brother, you might say keep your hands to yourself. And then last, you're going to go ahead and follow through. Let's go back to, you said he likes to draw on the wall, right? So you might say something like, hey, draw on the paper. And then the follow through piece is going to be really important. So you're going to go ahead, you're going to redirect him, like physically redirect him away from the wall, and then sit him down the table so he can start drawing on his paper. Now, this may or may not trigger behaviors like a tantrum, but essentially what you're teaching your son is that when mom says something, she's going to follow through. So your word has to hold weight, and it's going to be paired with that action on your end. So positive statement, and then go ahead and follow through, like physically help him with that action. Let's try the scooter example. So if he's riding his scooter in the house, you might say, scooter outside. And then you physically open the door and then guide him outside. So you see how the follow through is an essential component in teaching our kids to cooperate to our instructions. When mom says something, I want you to do it the first time. I know I said a lot, but any questions on that piece? Any questions on the homework? Does it sound feasible? Does it not?
No questions. Thank you.
Okay. Wonderful. Okay, so you have my number. Feel free to call me or text me if you have any questions. And then last, mom, please give yourself grace. You're learning a brand new skill. So I don't expect you to be perfect, and I want you to be patient with yourselves, because those no's and stop and don't do that are going to slip out sometimes, and that's okay. All right, I'll see you next week. Thank you so much. Hi, I know this video was a little different. If this video was helpful, I encourage you to like and subscribe. It helps me to know you liked the video, as well as it lets the YouTube algorithm know you liked it, so it can reach other parents. To learn more about how to better understand your autistic child's behavior, click on this video here. I'll see you there.